Thank you very much. Thank you for being here instead of having lunch. Why is phishing so effective? We are in the end of 2019, and this term, phishing, started to appear in 1996. So how can a 20-year-old threat is still prevalent, or even more prevalent, at least in the last months than in the last decades? And that's what I'm going to try to answer. Phishing is the art of tricking by by trying to replace the identity of someone through SMS, voice calls, or emails. But it is, in the end, a scam, a trip. Evolution statistics show that phishing rates are still on the rise, and users, I mean victims, are still falling into those tricks. The phishing creators have evolved, and that is why they are still succeeding, so as to say, because for us it would be a failure. This is by Microsoft, this graph. And at the end of 2019, I can tell you that it is one of the threats that has experienced a greater increase in the last few months. It is a threat that we should have already under control. Users have also been informed due to the popular cases in the last years. However, it is still effective. So let's see what cases have affected more to users, to normal users of the internet, which receive emails, SMS, any link through WhatsApp, for example. This is a classical one, the banking phishing. What has evolved in banking phishing? This is an email of a couple of weeks ago of a banking entity, which requests me to access, I guess, the account. But if you notice some details, you can see some suspicious elements. For example, the person who sent the email doesn't belong to the bank entity, or the link doesn't redirect you to the banking organization website. But let's imagine we click on it and we are redirected to this website. Is there anything weird? If you look at the URL, it doesn't have to do with BBVA, so it's kind of suspicious. But we need to notice a tiny detail. There is a green lock, and people think that if there is a green lock, the website is secure. It is not. It means that the communication between your machine and the website is secure. I mean, the transfer of data is secure, but that doesn't mean that the website is secure. Criminals have been taught to apply this kind of certification in order for us to trust this kind of websites. Can you see? The connection is secure. I mean, yes, the communication of data is going to be secure, but the website belongs to a criminal, and then it's not going to be secure. That is why we cannot trust completely in green locks, because that doesn't involve the security of that website. Another case from another banking entity it also has the green lock. After so many years, people have started to trust those green locks, and then criminals know about it and are starting to use them. However, for example, in the United States, it was publicly announced that nowadays it is quite easy to get this green lock as a certification, and it was an announcement from the FBI. You have all these applications, SSL for free, for example, in order to certificate that the communication is secure. And criminals know how to do it. Even more now that it's for free, because before they had to pay for it. So they're going to create phishing websites with a green lock in order to make people think that they are secure, and they're also going to try to make those websites look like the official one. But it is not, phishing doesn't only affect banking entities, because they have realized that services, online services are increasing, so they started sending emails. This one is on Microsoft OneDrive, in order for you to download a big file. Maybe you're waiting for you were waiting for it because you had to download a big file for university, and then you are asked to enter your credentials. Another online service which is very quite exploited by criminals is Dropbox and cloud storage. Those are practical services and convenient services, and they know that there are many users, so they try to trick people into that way. You might think, is there anyone falling into those tricks? There are. And this year we have seen an increase of victims because we are used to repeating credentials in several services. So criminals, once they have those credentials, try to see all the services where they can enter those credentials. Maybe the Dropbox service is not as important as an account of the company they work at, because that could be an entry point to compromise confidential information. Dropbox, Netflix can be one of the systems used to make us enter credentials. You have several examples. I only picked 3 because they have been more prevalent in the last few months. You can enter credentials, and maybe you can even enter some banking information with your credit card details. There was a case of phishing which asked for coordinate cards, and users were entering all the information. Nowadays we are more familiar with the fact of not entering our banking details if we are not completely sure of the source of the website. And phishing also occurs in social media. Here you have websites very similar to Facebook. So this is a proof of concept of how we can be tricked just surfing in a normal website. This proof of concept was carried out this summer, where they were using Facebook, but it was actually a phishing website. If you see it, you do not know if it's a malicious website. In order to know it, you need to access the code. And who can do that? Only you. So 98% of users would fall into a phishing case like this one. The simple proof of concept in this case was stealing credentials, Facebook credentials, but imagine that you're giving your credentials for something more confidential. This was a proof of concept, but it can be extrapolated to the real world in just a few seconds. We haven't seen campaigns to exploit this, but it could happen, so we need to be warned against this. We need to be careful with the websites we are accessing. If you can access a double or triple step authentication process, add it, because you may save your information in these cases. And here we have the same. They were asking for your banking details. Oh, I'm going backwards, sorry. But let's move forward. It is not only about email, because it is more corporate. We use email in our company, but then we use instant messaging. So how is phishing acting in the instant message in the world? Well, quite fast, because criminals know where users are. In this case, what WhatsApp or any other case. WhatsApp is the most important one in Spain, so they try to exploit it. So you see here that they take advantage of Black Friday offers in order to send links. It says AMZ coupons. It doesn't say Amazon, but I trust it because I want the discount they're offering me. We can also see offers on plane tickets, concerts, and so on. So they exploit our need to find offers, especially on dates like today, Black Friday. So that goes in their favor. They start disseminating these kind of messages that become viral in WhatsApp groups. And in the end, everyone ends up receiving a message like this one. And it depends on ourselves, it depends on our awareness in IT security to click on the link or not. There are also cases in local companies. We are in Valencia. We need to talk about Mercadona, the supermarket chain. This phishing took place several months ago, where they were sending employment offers. You entered all your data, and then they were using those credentials in order to subscribe you to payment services online. So think about it. On certain days, like today, or when you're looking for employment and you receive this kind of offers on your mobile phone, how many people can click on the link? If only 5% or 10% of users who received the link clicked on it, it's already successful for those criminals. They already have the templates, the ways to disseminate that data, and the ways to make profit from those data. Things get more complicated when they are not using similar domains which are not exactly the same of the website or of the service. They use almost identical characters, which are very difficult to distinguish. I was sent this this link. Nike was giving for free 5,000 shoes. Do you think something weird? Can you see a tiny blue spot? This one. You can see it, but if you look it into detail, but there are some attacks that you cannot detect unless you are very committed to know if it is fake or not. Here you have an URL, it has a green lock. I think it is a secure connection, and you can get a 50% discount in Apple products because it is Black Friday. However, this web has Punicode characters which are very similar to our alphabet letters, but which actually belong to other alphabet. Browsers are learning to distinguish these characters, but especially on smartphones or on mobile devices, it is more difficult to distinguish those characters. And when you're on, if you're rushing and you click on it, you will end up entering all your banking details. And with just a few things, criminals can expect from what they do much more. Many things. They are also using SMS nowadays in order to send these malicious links. SMS are not quite frequently used nowadays, but they are used by criminals in order to send SMS. Some days ago, some people thought that an SMS by the National Tax Agency was sending a malicious link. In this case, it was legitimate, but since we are not now more suspicious about these things, there were some people that said it was fake. Those that you can see on the screen are real cases of phishing. For example, in the case of Apple, it redirects you to this website. You need to see the URL. There is not green lock, but the design is very similar to the legitimate one. How many people are going to distrust an SMS that they received? Because usually we use SMS to communicate important things, and that goes in favor of criminals. And there is also a rare case of phishing, which is when you receive a call and you are asked to provide personal information. They say, I'm calling you from your bank entity, and people don't even ask what bank. It is the same as when you are entering a house and you say, it's me, open. It's the same. And then these people are told that there were some problems in their bank accounts, and then they panic and they do everything to try to solve it. So the person says, okay, I'm going to do my best to solve your problem, so you can give me all your banking details, the number of the card, the CCV, the PIN code. They even send a picture of it, or maybe they are sent a link in order to enter the details in a website. And many people fall into that trick, because in that situation, people panic and they try to provide as much information as it is needed in order to solve their problem. So you are creating a situation of need, and then that is the easiest way to obtain credentials. In the last few months, specifically from May 2018, we are seeing new cases of sextortion emails. I thought they were never going to succeed, but apparently they are. At least they write in a friendly way, of, I send you friendly greetings, dear friend. So the Trojan is storing everything as well as the cookies. So in the end, you end up thinking, I got caught watching porn, and we have recorded you. And if you do not pay, we will publish the video. So you really believe that they have hacked your webcam or many other reasons. People panic because they think their mail has been hacked, and in addition to that, they have been caught doing intimate things which are going to be published. And you may think, how can people believe this? Well, they do. It is the entry with more visits in our blog. People do not stop asking. People are really terrified. And on many occasions, people pay. How much? In this campaign, there were 700 transactions, which were corresponded to 4.8 Bitcoins, which were around 40,000 euros. They only got this money by sending an email and spoofing, and maybe they were they obtained passwords which were leaked several years ago, and they send you that password. And if you're still using that password, well, that's your problem, because that password was from 2011. And if you see your password in an email, you may believe that the email is true. Let's move on to phishing cases that affected companies and organizations. We have seen how it affects users. Let's see now how it affects companies. Since we are in Valencia, let's recall an incident that took place in September. It was the CEO fraud. So the identity of a very important person in a company was falsified. So So then maybe the person, the worker, follows some rules because it thinks that he is receiving orders from the CEO, and it doesn't happen just once. It can happen twice, 3 times, 4 times. Yesterday, a colleague told me that in Madrid, a company paid 15 euros, then 40,000 euros, then 80,000 euros. At the third time, they thought, maybe this is not real because we have paid a lot of money. And then they were started to wonder if the CEO was really the person who was sending the emails, and they asked him, and obviously it wasn't him. They can also steal identities using AI and so on, but those are more extraordinary cases. Usually with just a few emails, they get to modify an account number, or they create a situation of urgency and of need, and they obtain that money, which possibly wasn't even considering to do those money transfers. INCIBE warned against this several years ago with an urgency or a high urgency rate. And they were not wrong, because usually the entry point comes from a phishing case. They are perfectioning their techniques in order to know what kind of executive managers they want to steal their identity. They start tracking managers in order to know when they are going to be out of office, in order to avoid the double-step verification process. If somebody wants to call in order to be sure that it is the CEO who's sending that email. Obviously, this CEO fraud relies on the trust that workers have on their executive managers, and obviously you also need to think about the person responsible for that when something happens. That person was just following orders, but up to that point, they were responsible for it, and they were responsible for losing thousands of euros. There was a case in May, and at the end of September, there was a similar one. In our honeypot, we started receiving emails from the regional government of Andalusia. Ooh, it's a bit weird. We were asked to enter an email and address. We called the center and they said, yes, they are sending emails in order to steal credentials. And finally, we have the use of phishing in APTs. So a phishing mail can be the entry point for APTs. This is, for example, the one used against the Democrat Party in the US with a false website of Google Drive. And Hillary Clinton entered her credentials, which was the entry point for criminals. Another case involved SMS summarizing the strategy of Trump in Syria. So people were reading it, and then they could access the computer that they wanted. In order to conclude, as a conclusion, we're going to mention 4 points so that you are familiar with that. Phishing, even if it's 25 years old, is in constant evolution. This year is one of the most detected and dangerous threats. they are focusing more on mobile devices because they are more used, and sometimes we do not pay as much attention as when using computers. There is a lack of awareness among users, not you, not those who are seeing us through streaming, but most of people who use mobile devices lack awareness in order to prevent falling into phishing cases. And finally, phishing is the entry point in targeted attacks, which are still succeeding because, unfortunately, there is a lot to do on cybersecurity measures and especially on awareness raising. Thank you very much. It is time for lunch, so enjoy your lunch, enjoy the weather, and I hope to see you in all the CyberCamp editions. Thank you very much. And if you have any questions, we have some seconds for that. I have a question regarding mobile applications with exported URLs. We have manufacturers of applications. Are they doing something in order to correct that problem? So if I click a link on WhatsApp, I may get a message to say, hey, warning, you are accessing a malicious website. Yeah, we would need to do it more. I would use URL applications which can be added to some apps. It is not very frequently used. I don't know why. Maybe we should put more pressure on manufacturers, on application developers. So what do we need to do? We need to use products which promote security and stop using products with traffic with our data or which are less secure. That's our power. Thank you. Good morning. Congratulations for your presentation. Wouldn't it be easier to detect a phishing by entering an incorrect password of your email account? Yes, they record everything. So the first time you but if you enter a wrong password, it redirects you to the malicious website, so then you would realize it is fake. Yes, you would do it because you think it is suspicious. So you would do it in order to see what lies behind. But a normal user would enter the legitimate, would use the legitimate password and wouldn't even know. So that's a good thing. What you're saying is a good thing in order to know what lies behind, but a normal user would never do that. I had a personal suggestion. Usually, I do not enter through the link that I receive. I never click on links. I always go to the official site and try to find what I was looking for. I think it is the most secure way to avoid this. And I had a question. Recently, we have received many emails. There is an awareness campaign, but the problem is that they take the subjects from your email account. We were investigating where they were taking these subjects from. So you don't know if it's a lie, if it's true. They tell you, I attach documentation. And then, is it true? Is it false? And you have been receiving those mails after September, right? Yeah. This is an ESET malware campaign which is taking advantage of this in order to spread. Usually they attach Office documents, and when you click on it, you download malware. Where did they get those subjects? Probably from a mail server which has been committed. And they resend this email to all the users that have been in communication with that company. Yeah, I receive that kind of emails every day. And libre and free Office can also execute macros. No, they usually use Office because it's what they can make more profit, and people usually trust Office more than macros. Macros is not new because it started being used 20 years ago in malware cases. It's still used today. Is that all? If there are any more questions, thank you very much and enjoy your lunch.